Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another exclusive interview here on pwmania.com. Today we have the one, the only Champagne Singh of Impact Wrestling. Champagne, thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm ready to pop the cork whenever you're ready to, brother.
I love it, man. I love everything that you're doing. Your character is, and let me just tell you this much. When I was told I'm going to be interviewing you, I actually got really excited because what you're doing right now with the whole champagne thing, your theme has been for a while one of my favorites. The song you come out to, that music is awesome. They have to release a single of it. But before we get started, I want to tell you something. You know, your debut in wrestling means a lot to me because it actually happened on my brother's 8th birthday. So
sweet.
Amazing. Yeah. So congratulations on that. We'll get to all that, but let's get right into it. My first question for you is, well, basically, what are your thoughts on Impact's progression thus far in 2023? And what do you forecast for next year?
Impact's progression has been top quality. But honestly, I'm not surprised by it just because, you know, being behind the scenes and seeing the trajectory and the storylines and the progression of not only the talent, but the production team and everything like that. I'm not surprised because it's been great since I've been there. It's only getting better. What do I forecast for next year? It's tough to say because there's so many storylines and so many moving parts, so many great talents with an influx at all times of new talent. So, I mean, it will definitely get better, but the forecast for myself is I think that Champagne Singh is definitely going to be a household name, whether people love me or hate me, that's for sure.
Love that. And I'm just so curious, the name Champagne, you know, going from Raj to Champagne, which is really cool. Is there any inspiration from Drake, the rapper? Seeing the Canadian?
Hell no, man. Hell no.
No, right? None of that champagne poppy stuff. Right? This is all you.
Hell no.
Got it. Good. I knew that was going to be for sure. All right.
I hope he sees he wants to fight me over it.
That would be a match I would watch, and I know you'd probably win that. So you're pretty sure you will win. So yeah. All right. Yeah. So
I'll even rap battle.
Say that again.
I'll even rap battle him.
Oh my God. Now, it's a lot of people would watch that. And speaking of watching wrestling or watching Impact Wrestling in North America and internationally, there's many ways to do it with Impact on DAZN, Impact Plus, Ultimate Insiders. And with the recent announcement of Impact touring Australia, I wanted to ask you, do you see Impact doing more and more international tours, possibly returning to the UK and even possibly touring India? What are your thoughts on that?
So my thoughts on that initially are, I do feel that is going to happen. And I think it's more like that positive reinforcement, you know, thinking it into existence, manifesting this. But yeah, I do feel that Impact's going to be making the move to, you know, do more international stuff like in the UK, maybe other parts of Europe. I have my fingers crossed. I am praying that we get to go to India so we can take everybody to the motherland and just take some time to enjoy it over there because it's such a special place in the world that, you know, is foreign to the Americans. And I mean, it's definitely something that would be special to be able to represent in front of our people. And then they can see why the wrestling fans in India just love it so much. Like they would just be at the show. They'd be, oh man, I'm just getting excited talking about it because the roof would be blown off with the excitement in there.
Sure. And we're going to touch on the popularity of wrestling in India in just a little bit. Sure. And I'm glad that you gave me that kind of insight because I wonder what the veterans and the experienced talent in the backstage area in the locker room think about all this. And my question is also in a more general sense, who do you see right now at Impact being the locker room leader? Who is a veteran or someone that you go to for advice in the locker room at Impact specifically?
Well, Shara and I, we communicate quite a bit and we feed off of each other. And you know, honestly, you can go to anybody in that locker room, whether it be somebody new, and it's a cliche answer, and I don't want to make it sound like a cop-out, but there's not one person more than the other that I say, hey, I want advice from him or want advice from that person. And, you know, I might be in a storyline with somebody like, for example, Rhino or Heath. So why would I go to advice for them in a moment when I'm in a storyline with them? It makes no sense. You know, we kind of want to have that element of realism while we're out there too. But I 100% 100% go to people like Tommy Dreamer and Scott Demore. And we have some people on the production team that will just will keep silent for now, because, you know, it's pro wrestling and magicians don't ever want to give their tricks away either, right? So, but I have a lot of respect for everybody in the locker room. There's, you know, I go to Gail Kim a lot, actually. You know, I go to Gail Kim a lot because she's not actively in the ring, and she has so much upstairs that she can share. She's probably forgotten more than a lot of us in the locker room have even learned. So it's a great source to use, and definitely being on TV, she can give us those tips and tricks to even elevate our own status.
Of course, that is amazing. And speaking of elevated status, you come from wrestling royalty. Your father is the legendary Gama Singh, and correct me if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. And of course, great. And of course, Jinder Mahal is your cousin. These are just two of the men that helped wrestling's popularity in India, as we just recently touched on, grow over time and open doors for other Indian wrestlers. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on the increasing popularity wrestling has gained in India in the past few decades? Your father and cousin, among others like the great Kali, have laid quite a foundation. Mm-hmm. So would you like to touch on that maybe?
Yeah, I think it's more so it's just hitting the mainstream now over the last, like, you know, maybe let's say like 10 years, where people are kind of like realizing India is such a big wrestling hub. But in the state of Punjab, where we're from in India, it's a wrestling you know, breeding ground. All of so my family and the people we're all from Punjab, it's Kushti is the main thing. That's like wrestling, amateur wrestling style. And then from there, all that warrior mentality translates into us being athletes. So like a guy like Bhupinder, he's a kickboxer. So I don't know if people knew that, you know, and then I was amateur wrestling and I was boxing growing up as well. So, you know, with, you know, the glitz and glamour as well, accompanied with the amateur wrestling or the fighting, that's what makes India such a place for the big fans, like the big amount of fans there. And of course, you know, they just enjoy the product, whether it be our company, especially Impact, but they are supporting all types of wrestling, which is huge. And, you know, it's going to be special that, you know, down the road, we've got, like, as you said, like my family, and then myself, now Bhupinder, Shara, we have some other guys out there in the world that are, and some women as well, that are also wrestling with our heritage. And it's with the population we have, I can just see more and more Punjabis and Indians and Desis around the world wanting to join in the fun.
I love that. I love that. And, you know, you touched on Jinder quite a bit, and I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing his name, how it should really be, but do you keep in touch with him? You know, do you talk to him regularly? Do you guys go to each other for advice, anything like that?
Yeah, we talk every day. And like I've said before a few times, like he's calling me for advice.
Oh, amazing. I mean, everybody calls champagne. So.
Yeah, one of the secrets to his success is calling me for advice. And, you know, hey, what should I do to party? Where do I take the girls? And I give him that advice. I'm like, yo, you're in this city, go over here, bro.
I love that. I love that. I were you were you with him in New Orleans celebrating by any chance? Because he was with a huge posse down on Bourbon Street. But yeah, anyways, it would have been really funny to see you there. But yeah,
I'm all shut on that.
Okay, of course. No. Let's get back to what's important. And I really do want to ask you this. This is a sentimental question to you, most likely. You know, your debut in Impact had a lot of sentimental value, as you had your father trainer, Gama Singh, by your side. Can you talk a little bit about that moment and what it meant for you personally to have him there, not only watching your debut, but being a major part of it?
It's a good question. Yeah, it was special on so many fronts, because, you know, I dedicated so much of my life to being a wrestler, and then like had ups and downs behind the scenes on my road to getting here. And then being able to share that on screen with my dad, who kind of like probably thought wrestling was done. Once I started, he thought wrestling was done. And then it worked out to him being back on screen. And then for us to be able to share that moment together, it was like, I actually go back and I watch that quite a bit, because, you know, not everybody gets to share time with their parents, you know, in general, but I got to do that on the road. I got to work with him, and we were in different cities. I think we were in New York at the time, actually, for that one.
Amazing.
And you know, it's special more so because we get to share those moments together, and we got to travel together for the time that we were on the road together. So it's definitely special, and it gave me a little bit more motivation to become Champagne.
Love that. I love that. And you know, that whole storyline, as I'm aware, got a little bit affected because COVID hit. COVID came, the pandemic changed everything, travel restrictions and whatnot. How did this change things creatively with you and your father being the manager for the Desi Hit Squad?
So for my dad, it was kind of like, you know, him being an older gentleman, he just, at that time with the travel restrictions, the world was going crazy. He kind of just took a back seat and was like, you know, maybe I'll just spend more time with family, because you never know, that could be taken away in an instant. And we have a very tight-knit family, and you know, we're together often, and you don't want to take those moments for granted. So I mean, he got very sick. Actually, it was something we didn't talk about, but he got very sick after COVID, like when it first came. So it was kind of like, you know, just stay home, be home with the family. And then and that's around the same time where I got injured, so I ended up sitting out for like just over a year, and then I got to come back refurbished and ready to rock.
Wonderful, wonderful. Is he feeling better today? Is he fully
Yeah,
recovered?
he's fully recovered. He's fully healthy, ready to go. Actually, when I'm in Calgary, because I'm not always in Calgary, but when I'm there, we're, you know, going to the gym together, having lunch together, breakfast, whatever it may be. And
Amazing, amazing. Till 120, man. God bless. And you know what? So this leads me to my final question. I'm sure your father wants to know, your friends, everybody, your fans, me. What can we expect from you, from Champagne, in the next year at Impact?
Expect the unexpected. Expect to be entertained. Expect to live vicariously through me. You know, I'll be eating good food, hanging out with beautiful women, and winning matches. I'm hoping to add some new jewelry.
Love it.
I think
Love
so.
it. Of course, of course. We know what you're talking about. So, Champagne, is there anything you want to tell your fans real quick? Is there anything you want to just leave them with?
Of course, everybody that's watching, thank you so much. All the new fans, all the old fans, everybody rejoining the wrestling world. You know, you want to support Impact Wrestling. You want to watch us on DAZN. You want to watch us on Impact Plus, Ultimate Insiders. You definitely want to follow on Instagram and Twitter. You can see me, True Raj Singh, anytime. You know, I try to respond to anybody and everybody I can. You know, we're quite busy, but definitely support the product. And I guarantee you, tune into Impact, you will not be disappointed.
I love that. And just actually consider this final question a two-parter. Here's the second part. What, I ask this of every wrestler I interview, what advice can you give to up-and-coming wrestlers who want to break into the scene like you have? What advice can you give them? Your thoughts?
You need to work hard. You need to respect the business, because if you don't respect the business, it won't respect you back. And remember to not take yourself too seriously either, right? It's professional wrestling. You need to have fun. If you just want to be a big tough guy or a big tough girl, it ain't going to work. And be kind to others behind the scenes, because you never know who's going to help you, and you never know who's going to need that help. So just be a good person always. I think that's number one.
Respect. Thank you so much, Champagne Singh, for your time today. And on behalf of PW Mania and myself, Ari Barkin, you've been great. Thank you so much. Wishing you all the best and continued success to you and your family.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me.